Welcome back to Shelley Cashman's series, Microsoft Excel 2010. This is the third video in the series, and at this time I'd like to remind you again to save your work. If you haven't done so already, remember just press the disk icon here at the top, and that should save your work if you have already saved it. And I might forget to remind you to do that, so just save frequently, and that should avoid a lot of grief. Now we are focusing on formatting the worksheet. So if you look at page EX20, that's where it starts, but on page EX21 you can have a look at the before and after images of what we're going to be doing here. So we're going to give this worksheet a little makeover, make it a little bit more pleasing to the eye. So let's over the page to EX22 and see how we are going to be changing the font, style, size, and color of the data that we've input into our spreadsheet so far. So the first thing we're going to do, as on page EX23, we're going to highlight cell A1. And remember, that's where we put our title. And remember, it's flowing over into these columns, but it's actually all contained in A1. So let's make this look a little bit better. If we highlight the cell, A1, and we're on the Home tab, if we just go over here to Cell Styles and give that a left click, and it will drop down this menu as you can see. And what we're going to do is change this style to a heading style. So I'm going to go ahead and choose title, because this is the title of our spreadsheet and because the textbook told me to do so. So click that and you can see immediately it's changed the text to a bigger font and a different color. Okay, so now if you look up in the formatting panel up here, you'll see it's also been bolded and the font has been changed to Cambria. Previously it was Calibri, I believe. Size now 18, and the color of the text here is nice and dark blue. Okay, let's turn over the page to EX24. Now we're going to highlight and select cell A2, and we have again here the font. We want to change it. We can change it to Cambria. Calibri to Cambria. Sounds like the name of a movie or something. Anyway, we're going to change that, and we also would like to change that to a bold setting. So we can just click on the B right here, and it's now bold. Of course, the I makes it italic, the U underlined, but for now we're just going to keep it bold and black. Okay, so that covers all the way to page EX25. And next we want to change the size of that. So we're going to change it right here. This number, so we have the font style and then we have the size. We can use it directly as a drop-down menu, so we could select 14 and we can see it change in real time. You can also type in the number if you want, or use these up and down keys, buttons, to choose the font size that you want. So we've changed it to size 14. That will be our subtitle. And now we can also change the color manually right here. So this A indicates the color of the text. So let's change it to the same dark blue. Give it a matching color. You can also fill in the color of the cell, but we don't want to do that right now. Let's leave it nice and clean. Alright, so now what we want to do is go back to a few of these problems that we had in the first video. As you remember, all this text is in cell A1, but it's starting to run over into these cells simply because there's not enough space in A1. But what we can do is we can merge all of these cells across from column A to H, and that will allow us to center our title and treat it as one cell. So to do that, you can merge cells by highlighting all the cells that you want to merge. So we're going to left click on A1, hold down the mouse button, and drag all the way to H1 and release. So now that these cells are selected, we can merge and center with this button right here. Boom. It's merged. So now this is one big cell. A1 is now this big. And it also has centered the text. So we can do the same for the second title here. We're going to select these cells and merge and center. And look at that. It's nice and centered for us. Okay, now what we can do is we can start formatting our headings inside for our columns and rows. So what we want to do is select our column headings here, same strategy. We're going to use this whole width A3 all the way to H3. And we want to change the style. We're going to click Cell Styles. And we're going to change that to heading 3 as seen on page EX30. Cool. So as you can see, it changed the font color and put this nice line underneath, which will make it easier to read. And a final little bit here, we want to format the total line. At the moment, it's hard to determine its difference from the rest of it, so we're going to highlight those cells and click Cell Styles, and now we're going to do the total cell style right there. Total cell style, which sounds like the name of another movie. Anyway, let's move on and start formatting the data within our cells. So as you remember, we had that little funny issue where these decimals aren't showing the zeros after, just because they don't do that at the moment. But we can format the numbers to have a certain number of decimal places, and we can also do that. We can add as well number signs and commas as a formatting option. So we don't have to do that manually, but it's a style of the numbers. So what we can do here, let's start with on page EX31, we're going to see that we have this row here, row 4. We're going to change and highlight these rows, select that range, and then we're going to go over here to number. And that right now it says general, and that we want to change that to a different type of number. So depending on what our spreadsheet is for, is it just simply a number? Are we doing currency or accounting? In this case, it's more of an accounting thing, so it will go to 2 decimal places and give you that comma in the thousandths place. Okay, moving on. We now want to change the rest of the data in our here and start formatting to create these numbers to have a little bit more style to them. So we can select that range. As you can see, it goes not just all the way across or all the way down. We can select a whole rectangle of shapes, and we want to add the comma style. Simply click comma style. There you go. And that, as you can see, has fixed our decimal problem and has given us the comma in the thousandths place. So already it's starting to look a lot more pleasing to the eye. For the final row, again, the total, let's select that. and choose again, let's use accounting style, as that should be the best for this. Okay. And you can also notice now that the columns have automatically resized for the best width, and that should be helping you out quite a bit. However, going back to again our first video with our column width problem, here in the rows, you'll remember these are now hidden. So because there's data in this cell, it's not going to overflow and we're not going to see what's there. But to solve that problem, we can simply change the size of the column width by going up to the ABCs here. And if you put your cursor right between two columns, you'll have this adjuster. So once you get that adjustment symbol, you can left click, and drag it to the size that you want until we can see that. And there you go. We can see all of our data perfectly well, and the spreadsheet is looking nice. So now we can move on to bigger and better things.